the windows would be open, and all of a sudden you'd hear a dog barking, and every boy in the school would look at each other and smile.
It's a bear coming in.
Bear bark, bear bark. So first recess come, whose ever house that dog was barking at, well, one of the kids would run home and get a pail of water and take it down to the tree the dog had the bear up. So the dog would have water there, and he'd stay there all day. And then after school, everybody'd go to their woodshed and get an axe. We'd go down, chop the tree down.
Welcome to the Wilderness Wavelength Podcast.
Nice. We're live. This is another episode of the Wilderness Wavelength Podcast. Welcome to it. I'm George. Scott Linderwald here as always.
It's great to be here, George. I'm so stoked about our guest here tonight. I can hardly handle it. So we've been trying to get Ken Groat on here for a good year or so, and he's finally here. So I'm ready to do the intro.
A legend of the
legend,
Rockies.
the man, the legend. I don't know if I can do this intro justice here, but for folks who've been following us, you might remember episode 47. We had Monty Groat, the last mountain man. We called him. He was a young fella there, and well, here we've got the patriarch himself, Ken Groat. He's very well known here in the Northern Rockies. His family history dates back at least 7 generations to this land. We're going to dive into that. Born in Jasper in 1952, that makes him 73. He'll be turning 74 soon. So many exciting stories. He's guided 7 seasons in northern British Columbia with the Guide and Outfitter company there. Also with Mackenzie Northwest Outfitters up in Northwest Territories. And he also worked a trap line for 8 years, so lots of stories there. This man knows more about horses than you can shake a stick at. He's been shoeing horses since age 15. Lots of exciting wildlife encounters. Hey, and he's been a rodeo announcer for 54 years. Wow. He's got some fun close calls in the wilderness we want to dive into. And if that isn't enough, he's the president of the Rocky Mountain Wilderness Society, which do fantastic work clearing trails in the Northern Rockies, and dabbled in quite a bit of politics lately, too, as a Yellowhead County councilor for a while there as well. Yeah. So from cowboy to politician, right, and everything in between. So welcome here, Groat, Ken Groat. We're so excited you're here tonight.
Well, thank you.
Did he nail the intro pretty good, Ken? Is that kind of summed up?
If I can't dazzle you with brilliance, I'll baffle you with BS.
Ken, born in Jasper. Actually, I know Ken from, like, you showed my parents horses for, well, I don't know. How long have you been? How long have you known my parents for?
Oh God, it's got to be 30 years.
Yeah. You don't remember where you met them at?
You know, I probably run across your dad out in Willmore somewhere,
yeah.
But I knew Harry Edgecombe really well.
Yeah.
So
Harry was like our neighbor growing up, and then he was like partner with my dad's dad, like Ben Shantz. So like there was really connected there. So.
And my wife, she worked with Ben years ago. So
oh right, yeah.
So
it's quite
lots of family connections there.
I love it. Where do we start on this one, Scott?
I don't know. Let's maybe start with the growing up years. We can kind of walk through time here. You were born in Jasper, 1952. 7 kids in the family. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
And then grew up in Brule. So what was life like in the early days there in the Northern Rockies?
Well, as a kid in Brule, the road was, you can't even describe it. It was a goat trail. You can make it from Brule to town now in 15, 20 minutes. So it used to be an hour plus. You know, you would drive pretty near to the Black Cat, and then you'd swing back, go south again, and then up over where that pet cemetery is, and along the top of the hill, and then you'd make a big S-turn before you cross the Solomon Creek, and and then you'd climb for quite a ways, go along the top of the bank, and where the railroad bridge is today, the road come down there, and then it followed along to Athabasca for a few miles there to an old entrance. And then you went up the hill there, and then you made back by the airstrip, and then come down a steep hill to the bridge, and across the bridge, Then across the bridge, you'd turn. Just after you cross the bridge on the Athabasca, you'd go up a bank there, a steep one, and come over just west of, or north of where the entrance store used to be.
Yeah.
And up over a hill there's a prayer retreat there now.
Right. And even before 1952, the Groat name has a long history in this area and all the way to Edmonton. So maybe let's wind the clock back. Tell me what happened in 1861.
Well, in 1861,
That's a ways back.
Yeah.
my great-grandfather, Malcolm Groat, he was 25 years old, moved from Catherine, Scotland to Canada. He got a job with the Northwest Company at Fort Edmonton.
The old fur trading post there.
Yeah,
Yep.
and he was a farmer there. He looked after the food that they grew, and he looked after, they called them tents of Indians. You know, it would be a family, I guess. But they would go out and get, maybe one family would be responsible to get spruce pitch off trees for canoes, and maybe another one would be responsible for getting birch bark. But he looked after a lot of that. And he worked right till they closed the fort pretty much. And then he did a huge land claim there from the North Saskatchewan River up to where 111th Avenue is, and 121st Street today to 149th Street.
Yeah.
That was
That's
his
Groat
property.
Road then, eh?
Groat Road and Groat Estate, is that
Groat,
what it's
yeah.
known
And the
as?
house he built, well, it'd be the second one he built, is still standing at Groat Estates, and somebody's living in it.
And Groat Ravine.
Groat Ravine.
Groat Ravine. So does that mean you've got a massive land title there, multi-millionaire?
Well, he was worth a lot of money. He passed away in 1912. But something a lot of people don't know, that when Alberta became a province, the Calgary and Edmonton were growing about the same pace, and they knew they had to start a government. But Edmonton had some stronger politicians there, I guess, so they decided Edmonton was the place they'd build a government house.
Right.
But with all the land claims around there, they didn't have no property, so Malcolm gave the province 80 acres to build the government house on.
Wow.
And in agreement, he was smart enough to put in there that if he ever moved, the property come back to his estate.
Oh.
But that won't happen because they built a legislature there now.
Well, you could inherit the
Claim
whole
it.
legislature.
We could have our own party.
Yeah, make sure you invite me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of lay that foundation because that's a very interesting history, and then of course ties to Jasper as well and Brule. Now, when we chatted before, you talked about growing up in Brule and sitting in school and listening to the dogs bark, and you could tell if a bear was in town. Tell us some of those stories of what that was like.
There was quite a few. Brule had two teachers there, a guy and his wife most of the time. Went grade 1 to 6 in one room and 7 to 12 in the other room. But the older grades, there wasn't a lot of kids in them. And there was no air conditioning or anything like that, so there'd always be a window open in summertime. And everybody had their own dump because there wasn't a community dump. There's a lot of people didn't even have vehicles out there.
Mm-hmm.
But kid growing up with dogs, you knew that a dog had a different bark when there was a bear around.
Right.
And it's a bear bark. The windows would be open, and all of a sudden you'd hear a dog barking, and every boy in the school would look at each other and smile.
There's a bear coming in.
Bear bark, bear bark. So first recess come, whose ever house that dog was barking at, one of the kids would run home and get a pail of water and take it down to the tree the dog had the bear up. So the dog would have water there, and he'd stay there all day. And then after school, everybody'd go to their woodshed and get an axe. We'd go down, chop the tree down. And they always had to have lookouts. Their kids would be sitting back, say, "Oh, he's peeing," so you run away from the tree.
Yeah.
And then we'd chop the tree, and they never failed. Like the tree would be 10, 12 feet off the ground, and the bear jump out of it and run.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd land on his feet, and then away he'd go.
Yeah.
Dogs on his tail, and a lot of them wouldn't go up another. They just keep running, but some of them weren't smart enough. They'd go up another tree. And you might have to chop them out of two trees.
So that's how you cleared every last tree out of Brule over the years, eh?
But it kept the bears down, because there was times there was probably 7, 8 bears in Brule.
Wow.
In different dumps.
Was it mostly black bears? Did you get any
Yeah,
grizz
it was
in
all
town?
all black bears.
Yeah. Do you recall any grizz coming through town?
The odd time you seen them, they were probably around there, but they wouldn't come into the community like a black bear would.
Yeah, too smart. And then you weren't very old, and you started guiding in northern BC and Northwest Territories. Maybe take us back to those days. How old were you? How did you get started in that?
Well, I did a little bit of guiding when I was still in school.
Mm-hmm.
There was this outfitter, Charlie Stricker. He was hunting at Rock Lake, and he'd pick me up at Friday afternoon at 3:30, and I'd go to Rock Lake for the weekend. And Sunday night, my mom and dad be there to pick me up, make sure I was going to school Monday morning. But did that in grade 12, and then when I finished school, I headed north. That right as soon as within days of getting out of school to Toad River. And I went to work for Bob Jost outfitting. And he was an outfitter that moved out of Bearberry.
And that's north of
west
Nelson, BC, right? So
yeah,
for folks who are
Toad
listening
River
here,
up
that's
on Alaska Highway.
way up there.
Mile 422 on Alaska Highway. I spent quite a few years there, and that was a heyday of hunting, I tell you. The hunting was good. You never, ever seen a resident back there.
Mm-hmm.
For probably 6 years that I was up there.
And what are you hunting up there? Sheep?
It was mostly sheep would be the number one, and goat, moose, caribou. There was no elk in that country then, but there is today. But when I started there, I think the first sheep I got was in the book.
Wow.
Another guy and I went out and we got 2 sheep together, and they were both in the book.
Wow. And were you living in a cabin up there, outfitter tents, or what did that look like?
There was an odd campground that had a cabin in that we used for a cookhouse, and the cook usually stayed in the cabin. And we'd run two camps most of the time, and sometimes 3. I think we were working 85 head of horses.
Wow.
85.
Yeah. And the outfitter, he had a Super Cub, and he flew from camp to camp, make sure everythings were going good. And the hunting was always great.
Yeah.
I remember seeing herds of caribou. There would be 200 head of caribou in a herd.
Wow.
That was before 74 or something, 73 or 4. We had a 4-foot snowstorm in September, and they left, and it took a long time for them to build back up.
How many caribou are in the area now? The numbers have
they're
really
back
declined.
hunting them again, so they did come back, but there was a few years there it was just struggle.
Yeah.
What was your parents doing at this time then? Were they working at a mine or something, or?
My parents?
Yeah.
Well, when I went north, my mom worked at Blue Lake for quite a few years there. I don't know what she was doing there, cooking or something.
Okay, yeah.
And my dad, he hunted lots too. Like, he come from an outfitting family, so
Yeah.
I remember as a kid growing up, every fall he was gone.
Yeah.
But hunting in his blood, and did a lot of it. But later on, he went to work for the mine. He was working at the mine.
Yeah.
I guess probably when I was up north, he was working at the mine.
Huh.
And then you went over to Northwest Territories, worked the Mackenzie area. Again, outfitting, looking for Dall sheep. Is that primarily what people were after up there?
Well, yeah, there was a guy that guided with us in BC for a couple of years. And he was a pilot. He had his own airplane. And if you're going to hunt in that country or an outfit, you're better off to be a pilot, because you got to get around.
Yeah.
And he was a good pilot, so he went up and he bought Perry Linton's outfit. And that was probably in mid-70s. And he's still outfitting today. I think he's celebrating his 70th year or 50th year this year.
Wow.
And still
and he's still outfitting and in the Mackenzie Mountains. But I went up and guided a trip for him to guide a trip for a 2-week trip. And I took 3 weeks holidays off and went up there, and the hunter had a family problem or saw a death or something, and he didn't show up, so I built 2 cabins the first time I went up.
Wow.
I built 2 cabins while I was there. He had all the material there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went back a few years later and guided another hunt.
Jeez. Yeah.
But I got a sheep for myself that one too.
Okay. Yeah, now you've got so many exciting horse stories. We got to crack into some of these. You talked about Toad River. That would be northern BC, right? Close to north of Fort Nelson.
Yeah.
You were taking 60 horses across the river. There's a story there. Why don't you dive into that?
Yeah, there was a spot down the Toad River. There was a hot springs there. A lot of people didn't know it's there, but and there was lots of poplar ridge or hills and little poplar trees and lots of grass. So we used to winter the horses down there. And hunting season closed at the end of October, so you were always taking the horses down there in early November, and there's chunks of ice floating down the river, and it still can be high. But we'd leave the ranch with this one particular trip. We had 60 head of horses. Another guy, and we're following them just to make sure they all got down there. The first river crossing we got to. And I told them, we were both riding 2 horses that were bought in Alberta, and they hadn't been in deep water. And I was always really cautious because I can't swim. But so I always picked a short horse and watched where he went.
Right.
And if he did good, that's where I went.
Yeah.
And I was just telling this other guy about that. I said, you pick a small horse and watch him cross, and if he does good, go where he went.
Yeah.
And he was riding behind me, and we were just about across, and I was talking to him, and he never answered, and I turned around, and he's swimming downstream, and his horse is just climbing out of the hole. So, and outfitter just flew over with his airplane.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a hunter in the back, and he was videoing us across the river, so he got it on camera.
Oh, yeah?
And so when I got out to the far side, I made sure that I got a hold of his horse. I was there waiting for him when he come out of the river and grabbed him.
Mm-hmm.
And we were following this guy along. He had a down jacket and chaps and felt-lined boots, and he was swimming going downstream. And I said, "You okay?" And he hollers back, "Does it look like it?" And I said, there was a bend in the river, and I said, "There's a tree down off the bank there. See if you can get to it."
Mm-hmm.
So he got a hold of that tree, and he pulled himself halfway up on a tree, and he had to. He was cold. He just hung on to it. So I kept coaching him and hollering. Finally, he got up on the bank. So I get over, and I had to cross the river to get him, and a really poor spot. And I headed into the river, and these 2 horses were getting jammed up pretty good because they knew the other ones were gone.
Yeah.
So we hit that river pretty hard. I get out there, my horse fell down in the river, and I jumped right into his saddle. I wasn't going to go. So we made her across and get up there, and I didn't have no matches. I couldn't light a fire.
Oh, no.
He had the matches. I said, "Where's those matches?" He says, "They're no good now." So we knew there was a hot spring down there, so we got him in the saddle. We caught up to the horses, and we crossed the river 4 more times, but it wasn't, no events there. We got down to these hot springs, and the water was probably 8 inches deep, but I had rubber boots on, and I couldn't stand in it. It was that hot. And he was laying in it.
Just scalding.
And he laid there for probably 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And
well, that ice water, 10 minutes in that ice water, and your muscles will seize up.
Yeah.
The hypothermia's on your door,
Well,
man.
he
Good
was
thing you
pretty-
had the hot springs. Like, what would you have done without
well,
that?
I think I would have told him to go back home, but
Yeah.
but I knew them hot springs were there, so we kept going, And I thought maybe the outfitter would fly. There's an airstrip there. I thought he could fly down and pick him up, but he didn't.
Yeah.
And he laid in them hot springs, and I told him when he finally got warmed up, I said, "You go ahead." And I said, "Every chance you can get into a long trot, do it." Because I said, "I'll be right behind you."
Mm-hmm.
And we went maybe a quarter of a mile, and there was icicles about 14 inches long hanging off each elbow.
Wow.
And,
And you said this pilot got some photos. Hey, did you ever get to see any of those, the video or photos of that incident?
No, never, the hunter had it, and I never seen it, but I saw it in person.
Okay, if you're listening and that was you, we need those photos.
Send that picture in.
Yeah.
But we got back to the ranch, and it was dark then. It was you could, you have to ride down this hill, but they could see us break over that hill, and we got down there, and you had to go through the corral to the pack shed, where we're going to unsaddle. And the outfitter, he met us in the yard, and he had a bottle of, it was Lamb's Navy rum, something he wouldn't drink. But he gave it to this guy, and he drank a third of that bottle in one drink. And then he went to the bunkhouse, changed clothes. He said, the boss said, "Supper's ready." So I went to we unsaddled them horses and turned them loose, and went over to the house for supper. And we were sitting there having a drink, and Johnny comes in the door, and he's got about 3 inches left in this bottle of rum. He's drunker than hell. He didn't even know he was in the river.
But he was warm.
Yeah, but he was warm.
Oh, that's a great story.
We should. I want to dig into the Willmore Wilderness too. So, was your parents really outdoorsy? Like, is that what you got you going?
Well, my dad, his name was Joe, but my grandfather started outfitting here in 1912.
Okay.
So the kids grew up working for him.
Yeah.
And then the first war, my dad joined the Army, and they patrolled the coast, the West Coast,
Okay.
with horses,
Yeah.
just to report any boats that they shouldn't be there.
Oh wow.
But I think they had 200 horses over there, and they brought them back to the Autinda after the war was over.
They're just riding horses up the West Coast.
Up and down the coast. And,
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
But there was quite a few of them. There was Gene Merle from Jasper was with them, and George Wells. But there was quite a few of them over there.
So horsemanship was in your blood from the moment you were born, like it was.
Well, we always had horses, and there was always lots of horses in Brule too. And there was never any fences around there for years when I was a kid. They're just loose.
Yeah, and you said you started shoeing horses at age 15?
Yeah, well, my dad was a horse shoer, and he shot horses for the government.
Okay.
Lots of all over the place.
Yeah.
And I think I was 15 years old, and when I put my first shoe on.
Yeah. I was saying to you, as a tall guy, I can barely clean the hoofs out, and my back is just screaming. I don't know at your age how your back's still fine, and you've been doing this for decades.
My back is good. My hands get so stiff, but my back's never given me a problem.
Have you ever been kicked good?
Oh, more times than I want to talk about. Last year I got kicked good.
Yeah?
Yeah, doing one of Larry DeLorme's horses.
Okay.
The last nail in that, and that horse was a thoroughbred.
Mm-hmm.
And he had it planned because he didn't, there was no clue. Most of the time they'll jerk around a little bit. This horse, he took his leg right around mine, and he kicked me in the calf muscle, and that left leg went about 5 feet in the air, and the other one had to follow it. And I was horizontal up there. And there was another horse standing there with his butt to me, about 3 feet away. So I when I was up there, I threw myself sideways, and I grabbed that other horse's tail to break my fall. And luckily he didn't kick.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah.
But I slowed my body down enough that my feet got underneath me, and I didn't land on the ground.
Geez, that can break legs and ribs and all of that. You got off lucky on that.
Well, I've been kicked a lot of times, but you learn horses.
Yeah.
You you start thinking like a horse.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you're very good with horses. I've seen you with them. You gotta read them, and I'm sure you've got lots of experience.
Scott said too you were doing rodeo announcing for like 54 years.
Well, and we started a light horse 4-H club at Brule
Okay.
in the 60s. And we had a rodeo there, a fundraiser rodeo for the community. And Clint Coleman had a pony barn at Jasper. So somebody got a hold of him, and he come down and he announced the first rodeo. And they must not ask him to come back the next year because everybody was ready, and everybody's sitting there on the grand entry waiting for the rodeo announcer. And we waited about 10 minutes, and we thought, we got to do something. So I said, well, I'll do it. And 54 years later, I was still doing it. But it was good, you know.
Yeah.
You ever do any events in the rodeo? Any riding or anything?
No. The first year I did when Clint was announcing, but after that I was standing there with a mic in my hand.
Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah.
I got a would you rather for a rodeo. Rodeo would you rather? Would you rather ride a bull for a full 8 seconds or spend the entire night as the rodeo clown running around the arena there, like protecting the riders? You're riding the bull or you're rodeo clown?
Who do you want to go first?
Let's see what you got, Scott.
Oh, man. You know, I think I'm going to ride the bull for 8 seconds because I'd end up getting some poor guy killed trying to be a good rodeo clown. I don't have a clue what I'm doing with bulls, so I'd hang on for dear life. It'd be over. Hopefully I'd survive.
Yeah.
And then my night's done. But
You're
if other guys are counting on me to save their bacon, I'm not the man.
Yeah, you got to jump over the gates real quick. And yeah. How about you, Ken? You going to ride a bull?
I
or
think
you gonna ride a clown?
I would follow Scott's because, you know, them bulls are too fast for me.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Now, you've had some incredible wildlife encounters, too. There's so many great stories. I want to hear the frozen moose story. Let's start with that one there.
I had this hunter out. We got a moose, but we didn't get. There was a moose on a lick up in northern BC that one of the other hunters got with a different guide, and we kept an eye on it because my hunter had a bear tag. And then the weather turned cold, and about every 2 or 3 days we'd walk down there and check this carcass, see if there was a bear on it. And by then it was been cold for a couple nights, and there had been some coyotes on it and whatnot, and they ate the insides out of this moose out of there, and he's laying there with his legs froze, stuck out. And I walked around between his front and his hind legs, and I kicked his rib cage, and I said, he's pretty froze. And there was a damn lynx laying down inside his rib cage, and he come out of there. I jumped 5 feet in the air and screamed like a girl. that lynx ran about 10 feet past me and spun around, sat down, and looked. Who the hell are you?
He was hiding in the rib cage.
Yeah. Didn't expect that.
Yeah. Well, we had Dave Robson in here on one episode, and he has a story where he got trapped inside a moose rib cage when he was trying to gut it, and the leg kicked him back, and he was stuck inside the moose. So just like that lynx. Yeah, they're pretty big.
Are you a hunter then, Ken? You always been a hunter?
No, I've never been much of a hunter. I'm a poor shot.
Yeah.
But it's because I haven't shot enough, and I've hunted a few. I got 3 or 4 bighorn rams, but that's about it.
Okay. Yeah.
And I did get a caribou up in the territories, and and a Dall sheep.
But you knew how to guide, so you must.
Well, I could always find the game, but living at Brule as a kid, we were raised on wild meat.
Yeah.
And it was mainly deer, and I to this day I couldn't eat a deer if somebody paid me to.
You fit your deer quota?
Yeah, too much.
Yeah, we ate a lot of deer.
Wow.
A moose was a bonus, you could, good change.
Moose and elk are very tasty, absolutely. Now, you've got some other great wildlife encounters. How about the 12 pack horses? You guys met something there in the bush. You know which story I'm talking about?
Yeah, my cousin Manley and I, we were camped on Sheep Creek. This is in northern BC, not Alberta. And we were moving the camp over to Cabin Creek. We had quite a few pack horses, and it's probably a 3-hour ride, 3.5, 3 hours. And we're coming through the timber, and it was pretty high elevation, spruce, and not really tall, but thick. And he hollered at me, and he says, "I got to fix a pack." He said, "Find a good place to stop." So, because there was lots of willow flats and little meadows and stuff. So we got into this really thick patch of spruce where I could hold the pack horses back. And I said, "I'm stopping." He says, "Okay, I'll be 5 minutes." So I was sitting on the horse, and the sun was shining, and quiet, and the horses were all standing there just head down, resting. And all of a sudden my horse jerks his head up, and I looked, and I'm looking at probably about 600 yard of willow flat across there that the horse trail went through. And these willows are moving towards me really fast, like they're, and a long string of them. And I couldn't, what would that be? And I said, probably wolves, because these willows are about 5 feet high. And all of a sudden there's a wolf, and he's by far the biggest wolf I ever seen. He comes out about 50 feet in front of me.
Oh, jeez.
And then the rest were coming, running right behind him. So they all piled up
Yeah.
right in front of me. And my horse just stood there and looked at him, and I hollered at them, and they took off. They went through these willows, and there was a really steep hill there with a few scattered spruce trees on it, and probably 2 feet of moss. And they ran right to the top of that hill,
Yeah.
just going it straight up a steep hill.
Jeez.
But you know, if you were out there hunting, you could have got them all, because they weren't getting any further away.
Yeah.
They were fairly close for a long time.
Yeah. And you've had a close wolverine encounter?
Yeah, I was another hunt. We were in the timber. We were on a mountain. The snow was fairly deep, and we were coming down to the horses, and quite a ways from the horses yet. My hunter was walking, and he was just following my tracks. It was probably close to knee deep. And we got into some bigger timber at the bottom with lots of limbs on them, and I come around this tree, and I was so close to a wolverine, you know, and we seen each other at the same time. We were both going around the same side of the tree.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And as soon as he see me, he's running on top of the snow. But he was out of there in no time. And I don't think the hunter even had a chance to see him, but he seen his tracks.
Yeah.
I was really close to him.
Yeah. That's a once-in-a-lifetime
But it
experience.
just, yeah, you see him out there, but not that close.
Yeah. Started guiding in the Willmore when you were like in, what'd you say, grade 12? You were doing?
Yeah, with Charlie Stricker, yeah.
Yeah. And then what keeps bringing you back to the Willmore now?
Well, you know, the Willmore has got like probably close 700 miles of trail.
Yeah.
And these are old hunting trails, trapping trails. The Indian trail that left Jasper House on the mouth of the Rocky River went through the Willmore over 2 passes that went up the Snake Indian and then over Eagle's Nest Pass, and then you go over Snow Persimmon Pass,
Right.
and then over to Snow Creek, and then you go over Snow Creek Pass and down the Muskeg to Teepee Creek. And then it followed the Muskeg River down to the Smoky, where the Muskeg runs into the Smoky, and there's a good ford there. You could ford it with a horse pretty easy. And then it carried on up to Grand Prairie and then to Peace River, wherever there was a trading post for the Hudson Bay Company.
Mm.
And that went right through the Willmore. So, and all these other trails were all hunting and trapping trails, mostly trapping trails then,
Yeah.
because there were no outfitters around then. But Lyle Mobley and I traveled a lot in there. We took the Fish and Wildlife on patrol, and then we trapping out. I helped them trap at different times, and them trails were getting, a lot of them were getting impassable.
Yeah.
So we started that Rocky Mountain Wilderness Society, and we started clearing them trails. We're probably well over 600 kilometers of trail cut.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so huge for people who are listening and don't have a sense of how big this park is. 4,600 square kilometers. It's massive.
Yeah.
Just to put that in perspective, I grew up in the Black Forest of Germany, which is 6,000 square kilometers. So this one park is almost the size of all of the Black Forest in Germany, which is really phenomenal.
You said you're heading out this fall or this summer too?
Yeah, we've been going on. Well, the first year in 2012 when we started the society, we went whole hog for 2 years. We even hired a contractor, an outfitter from Grand Cache, Curtis Halleck, to cut a trail for us, because we had a lot of support and cash support, so we could afford to hire Curtis, and he did from Victor Lake to top of Hayden Ridge, and we went up the Big Berlin. We cut the Big Berlin out, and then we went the next year we went over to Big Graves and cut back to where Curtis cut. So we've cut, and we use 3 or 4 power saws and 2 or 3 brush saws.
Yeah.
So that we get a lot done.
Are you guys making new trails, or is this just fixing up existing trails?
No, we basically follow. The only place we had to do any new stuff is along the Sulphur River. The trail follows the river quite a few places. And if a river crossing washed out,
yeah,
and you cross the river and then you go a little ways, you got to cross it again, we would just make one through the bush so that to stay out of the river.
What's the plan this summer? Where are you guys going?
Well, this year we got all the major ones open on the south side of the Smoky. We made a mandate when we started, we wouldn't cut hunting trails.
Okay.
We don't want to be out there cutting hunting trails. These are connector trails from valley to valley, main thorough trails like the mountain trail that goes from Rock Lake to Grand Cache.
Yeah.
The Berlin drainage, both the north and the south are open. Over Jackknife Pass and Rocky Pass is open. And
keeping the traditional trails open.
And Carson Creek is where we're going to go this year. And when you go up over the mountain at the head of Carson Creek, you can go over to the South Berlin, or you can go over to Moon Creek. So that opens. They're connector trails from drainage to drainage.
Right.
People hunt there, but it's an old trail that's been used lots.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you did quite the trek there in 2009 called the Long Road Home. Tell us about that.
Well, a lot of our family was in Upper Athabasca Valley in the 1800s, and then they were trapping and working, getting furs for the Hudson Bay Company, and then when Jasper became a park, and it was 1907, they decided to make it a park, and it wasn't a national park; it was a Jasper Forest Land Park.
Right.
So it took in, and that was the Dominion Forest, and it come back in here north of Hinton too, and they were protecting the trees more than anything, but they did that. They had it as a forest land park, I think, maybe to 1930. Because the east boundary of the park was the boundary, but it wasn't very wide. But then in 1930 they started following mountaintops. But it was a Dominion Forest when it was first started anyway. But now I forgot your question.
Well, it was the Long Road Home.
Oh,
the
Long Road Home.
People were pushed out of the park, right?
There was the people that were living in the park, and a lot of them, they were all extended family, and a lot of them left and went through the Willmore, and it wasn't the Willmore then. It wasn't the Willmore till the 50s, but they headed out through the Willmore on the Indian Trail and went to Victor Lake. And that was in 1907. So in 2007, 100 years later, we were going to do a trip with a bunch of descendants or kids and bring them back on the same trail that the people left the park on. So we left Victor Lake it was a 2-week trip. We had 76 horses. There were 43 pack horses and 33 saddle horses. And you know that's not a holiday. That's a job.
The logistics of trying to get that going.
I get overwhelmed when we got 4 horses on a trek. I can't imagine 76.
Well, you know, after a couple of days, you don't have no fingerprints from pulling ropes.
Yeah,
you know, just packing horses every morning or every second morning.
Yeah. Did you get any wrecks with those packs, or?
Well, you know, we traveled in 3 different groups. The kids traveled in one group when they had a couple horses. They did good, and they had supervisors with them looking after them. And we traveled with 2 main groups of pack horses, and they were different. The horses belonged to different outfitters, so we kept them in their own groups. And I think we had 23 pack horses in our group, or close to it, and 20 anyway. But you know, it'd take you 2.5 hours to get packed up with 43 pack horses.
Yeah.
And then one group would take off, and then we'd finish packing the next one, and we'd take off. But
how many kilometers in total did you guys do there?
God, you know, I don't know. I wouldn't even want to guess how far we rode, but you know, I've rode that trail so many times that it doesn't get any shorter.
Yeah,
but,
that's right. You got a few river crossings and lots of creek crossings.
Yeah, there are lots of creek crossings, but there's no major water going through that way. But we went to as far as Blue Grouse and then come across to 51 and down the Starlight Range through Willow Creek and down the Snake Indian and then camped at Devona the last night. And then the next day we made it to the homestead.
Okay.
But we did have a wreck at Monaghan Creek, I remember. I was riding in the front, leading a horse with, and all he was carrying was eggs. And
of course the one with the eggs has a wreck.
2 packs of eggs. I can't remember. It was a phenomenal amount of dozens of eggs on this horse. But I led him all the way through there. And we got to Monaghan Creek, and the trail, where the trail hit the creek, the water had been awful high that spring, and it was about a 3-foot drop, so I had to turn and go upstream and find a place to cross. And there was quite a few little poplar trees there where we could get off the bank and get across. And I just reined my horse over, and we slid down this little short bank to the creek. And I looked over, and there's a big hornet's nest on a tree.
Oh, no.
Well, there's nothing we can do. The horses are going to follow me. But when you get 4 or 5 of them get to the bank, they all spread out. Of course, one of them hits that nest. And there was horses bucking when they went by me, and I'm leading a horse with eggs on. I'm not going to chase after him. So we had 3 other guys behind me, and we got around them, but there was a big flat there, and there was a few trees in one spot, and we got them cornered down by them trees. And you couldn't tie them up. You just had to. And the best thing to do is get off your horse, because they're not going to. If you're on your horse, they think they're going. Get off and hold your horse, they'll stop.
So you guys ate a lot of scrambled eggs after that.
No, I don't think we had that bad a luck, but
I've got a would you rather about couple would you rathers about horses, but this one kind of ties in. So you're in the Willmore. I'm going to start with George. Let you catch your breath there, Ken. Have a sip of whiskey. George, you're in the Willmore. Would you rather have a horse that refuses to cross water, which is tough in the Willmore, or lose your saddle halfway into a 10-day trip?
Oh, wow. No saddle.
Are you good at bareback riding?
No, not really. It's you're sore at the end of the day. I feel like
They're both really bad.
Yeah, refusing to cross water. I've had a couple horses like that. Like my dad's had horses like that, where you're like every stream you come up to, it's like, oh, here we go again. You know. Yeah. I'd probably go with the horse with the refuses to cross water though. I feel like if he's in the back and he sees the other guys go, then he's like, all right, fine, I'm going. Okay. Like he's gonna put a fight, but riding bareback for 5 days doesn't sound fun.
No, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
How about you, Ken?
George said it. I wouldn't. There's no way I'm going to ride bareback.
Rough ride. No. Well, you've had experience riding bareback.
Well, I got to tell you a story. First year I was up there in northern BC, I didn't know any of the horses, and a cousin of mine and I were taking we had quite a few horses. There was probably close to 25 anyway. And we camped the first night at this Churchill. There was a copper mine there years ago, and there was an old airstrip. And so we camped overnight there, and then we were going to head her up to the headwaters of the Racing River after that the next day. And so I went out to get the horses, and he was taking the tent down and starting to get the packs ready. And the first horse I got to out there, I put my bridle on him. I didn't know the horses. And I was going around taking hobbles off. And all of a sudden these horses, they start to take off to camp, and the ones with hobbles on took off with them. So I bailed on this white horse, and I passed them all. I couldn't stop them, and there was a kraal there, and I went in that kraal with that horse, and we made 2 loops in the kraal. I couldn't do, and Manley, my cousin, he said, what the hell you were doing riding him? He's not even a saddle horse. He's a pack horse. But I said, well, I learned the hard way.
Yeah, you got a fun ride, Yeah. We talk a lot about wilderness survival on this program, and we often say the cold will kill you 10 times over compared to a grizzly bear. You've got stories on both, but you've got a story of some close hypothermia there at Sheep Creek in the Willmore, right? Tell us about that story. I think a hunter shot a giant moose, if I recall. Refreshing your memory
that
there.
was up north in Toad River country, but that was up. We were at Cabin Creek, and it was the end of the fall, the end of October. Moose season was still open, and my hunter, we got a sheep and a caribou, and he was really fussy. He wanted an extra large moose. So we had a 3-day trip to get out of there, because we left Cabin Creek, went over to Sheep Creek, and we had a half a dozen horses there we had to pick up. And then we headed out to the moose pasture camp, and we were just getting to the moose pasture camp, and it was cold. And we only had we had probably 14 horses or so, but only 3 of them had packs on because we were traveling light. And Eddie McDonald, another guide from up there that was along there on the trip, I seen this big moose, and I asked that hunter if he was big enough. He said, oh yeah. So I said to Eddie, and we were getting really close to where we were going to camp. I said, can you take the horses and set the tent up? We're just going to have one tent. He said, oh yeah. He said, you go get them. And I said to the hunter, do you want you're going to mount it, or you're going to just the horns? Just the horns. Good. This will be quick. So I got on my horse, and we never rode 50 feet. And he says, I think I'll take the cape. So I had to turn around, stop Eddie, and get a pack horse. We had a couple horses there with empty boxes on, so I grabbed one of them. We go over there, and he shot this moose, and he fell right in the biggest willows. Like you couldn't hardly. It was tough getting the cape off him, because and it cold. The only time your hand was warm was when you had it on the skin, because the hide's starting to freeze as soon as you got away from the skin. And I got him caped out, and we loaded head and a cape with the horns on top of this horse and made her over to camp. Them days you didn't have to take the meat out. That was in the 70s, early 70s.
Yeah.
And we didn't have the horse or the pack saddles to even do it with anyway, and it was too cold. But on a previous trip, a hunter left me a thermometer. So we got to camp and went and packed that head and threw a tarp over it. But you had to make sure that everything was wrapped up good, because the next morning it was going to be froze. Went in there, and Eddie had a fire going in in this tent. It was a 14 by 14 pyramid tent. And the only warm part in the tent was right around the peak. And it's about 6 feet above our head. And we had something to eat, and my hunter went to bed, and he was snoring in about 10 minutes. I thought, I'd like to have his bedroll.
Yeah, no kidding.
So Eddie, he said, well, I'm going to keep that, or flesh that moose head, and I'll skin it off the head. And I said, I'm going to try and get an hour of sleep. So I rolled my bed out, and it was a waste of time because I wasn't in it 10 minutes. It was too cold. There was 6 inches of snow inside the tent.
Did you have a hot stove in there? Or?
Yeah, but it was a wood cook stove.
Yeah.
You know, they don't throw a heat like a heater would, but
Right.
that canvas or silk tent, the heat went right through that.
Especially when you're lying on the ground there, yeah.
Yeah, so I get up and we made a pot of coffee, and we took the cape off that skull and fleshed it out and turned the lips and ears, and it was all done, and we wrapped it up in a tarp so we could pack it, and I had that thermometer out, and it was minus 22.
Man.
And it was a wind blowing too, and then when the next day we packed up, I had to put all the lash ropes in the tent and thaw them out, because you could pick a lash rope up and it would come off the ground 10 feet from you. It was froze so bad. So we
Like
had
a
to
stick.
dry all the ropes out that night. And then we had about 25 crossings on the Tetsa River on the way out.
In minus 22, yeah.
And cold, and you had to chop the ice on every one to get the horses across safely, because they it was just slippery ice.
Yeah, so you're just roughing up that ice.
You
then
just
for
take
them.
an axe and chip it all up about 3
Wow.
feet wide,
It's a lot of work.
and the horses single file across there,
Yeah.
and they knew what we were doing. After you do 3 or 4 of them, they'd stand there and wait till you got it done, and then they'd walk across.
The other side for me.
Yeah.
But we took turns. I'd go ahead for 5 crossings, and then he'd go ahead for 5 crossings. Switch
Yeah.
those back and forth, because that's a lot of chopping.
Yeah, that's a good trick. I'm going to file that one away. Man, I got a couple would you rathers here that kind of tie into this.
Yeah,
here.
do it. Yeah.
We'll start with hunting guiding. I've only guided my kids, well, maybe some friends as well, but you must run into some interesting characters, so this kind of ties into it. As a hunting guide, would you rather guide a client who never listens or one who won't stop talking?
Well, I think it's easier to shut somebody up than try and make them listen.
Yeah.
But they're pretty good. They spend a lot of money to go out there, so
Yeah.
they're going to do what you ask them to.
Do most of them know what they're doing, or you get some guys who
You know,
can't
the
hit
majority
broadside
of
a barn
majority
door?
of them have hunted before,
Yeah.
and they know what they want. You can show them what different animals, and they make up their mind if they want it or not.
Yeah.
But back then everything was pretty good. It was right in the best hunting
Yeah.
Western Canada's ever had.
Sounds like the glory days, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I got another one. Would you rather sleep in a leaky wall tent or in a crowded tent with loud snoring? You've probably done both.
Well,
I've done both.
there was guys that I swear that the tent moved when they snored, and you just can't get used to it.
Yeah.
And I probably snore too, but there's no way I'd snore like them guys did. The ground shook.
You got to ask your wife; she'll tell
But
us.
I always had a bedroll tarp, so my tarp was waterproof. I'd sleep in a leaky tent before.
Yeah.
At least you get some sleep.
You just throw the tarp over top.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good plan. How about you, George?
Yeah, I'm on the same page actually, because like Ken said, like that loud snoring, you just lay there and you're listening to it, and you're just like, I want this to lull me to sleep, but it just never seems. They just like do a little cough or something, like, oh man, all right. Yeah, I would go leaky tent.
Leaky tent.
Yeah.
See, I'm the guy that shakes the ground when I snore, so
yeah.
I can't poke a stick at anyone for that. But
as long as you fall asleep first, you're good.
Man, I've been in a Quincy with guys who are farting and snoring all night long, and I couldn't get any sleep. So
yeah,
it can be
well,
pretty
it
awful.
always seems the guy that snores the loudest is the first guy to go to sleep.
Yeah, that's right. You try to. Yeah.
I got a would you rather. Actually, I want to talk to Ken about this too, because I want to talk about a few cabins out in the Willmore. But I put a question on our Instagram today to see what the results would be. So it was, let's say you're staying at Big Grave Cabin. Would you rather have mice running around you all night or a bear scratching at the door?
Well, you know what? I don't care for the mice that much.
You'd rather the bear at the door?
Yeah.
Really? Eh?
Yeah, those mice, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know,
Paul Chambers sent a message in. He said he's got his name on the roof of that cabin, and he said that once you turn the heat on in there, get the fire going, the mice come alive. Like it turns into
we fixed that cabin up. I can't remember. It was a few years ago now.
Yeah,
but it was mouse proof.
Yeah,
I don't think I ever slept in it. I always had a tent.
Okay, yeah.
The cook slept in it, but you know But it's a nice cabin. We put new logs on the bottom and fixed all the holes.
Yeah.
What are you picking there, Scott? Mice or bear?
I've had mice run over me in the night. I hate it. And for me, mice, it's the hantavirus scare too. I've known people that have gotten deathly sick by that. So it's more than just an irritant. So yeah, I'd probably pick the bear.
You can get deathly sick by a bear attack.
Yeah,
too,
bear can deathly sick you as well. But you know, hopefully the door latch is real good. Do I have a shotgun?
Probably. I'm assuming so, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm taking the bear.
I was surprised. So out of the poll, so I put a poll on there. 74% said a bear scratching at the door, and that was like we had over 60 people voted on that too. I was like, man, I just felt like the bear would be like a little more scary for.
Well,
yeah, it's unnerving when mice are running across your body at night, though. It's hard to sleep.
Yeah, and they start pulling your hair out for their nest too.
Yeah, to make nests. Yeah.
Are there cabins you go to regularly in the Willmore?
Sorry?
Like cabins you guys are taking care of in the Willmore at all, or?
Well, you know, the government put 6 cabins out there, them prefabs. Only one of them we look after.
Yeah.
And that's the cabin at Snow Creek. And it was never finished.
Oh, okay.
So we fixed it up.
Yeah.
And finished it, and we fixed it up with the assumption that they would never be locked, and they don't lock it either. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's a cabin that anybody can use, first come, first serve.
Yeah.
And the one at Summit Cabin, we did a major overhaul on that cabin. Jacked it up, and a couple of our guys from Barhead and some other ones from down south of Drayton helped. And they jacked it up and put new round of logs and reset the floor. Put shutters on the windows.
Mm-hmm.
Any idea how old those cabins are? Like when they were built?
The one at Summit Cabin was built in 1928.
Wow.
And
cool.
I think the one and. Jack Glenn built that one. He wrote that book. He was a ranger out of Entrance.
Okay, yeah.
Harry Holm built the one at Big Graves, and I think that was built in 1929.
Yeah, it's 100 years old.
And there's one at Sheep Creek. It's in dire need of some work. But, you know, it's built right in, that burn went around it, and they bombed it with a helicopter and saved the cabin. But it's all burned around it. But part of the back wall of the cabin there's dirt up against it, and the logs are going to rot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's quite a ways in there. Like it's 2 day ride or one killer day to get there.
Yeah.
So we would fix it if. But I would rather see somebody flown in and dropped off and let them fix it.
Yeah, working it that way.
Yeah.
How long are the trips you guys are usually going in? Like when you're doing like the trail clearing and stuff?
We should go for 2 weeks.
2 weeks at a time?
Yeah.
Are you guys looking for people to help out?
We have a really good crew, and some of them have been with us for a lot of years, so it's really hard to commit to somebody that hasn't done it.
Yeah.
Because there's a pretty good learning curve to do what we want, and we've never had anybody hurt, and it's because they're watched, and we know their capabilities, and we've cut a pile of miles. So
yeah,
better to have a few people with good skills than someone who's gonna get injured.
We've basically cut all them trails on our own nickel too. Like we raised the money to do it.
So how does someone help you then? Is it donations?
Yeah.
Like that through like the cowboy ball you guys put on?
Well, that's our major fundraiser, and then there's quite a few really good supporters in town here.
Yeah.
And they're always there every year, helping out financially. And
Rocky Mountain Wilderness Society. You guys got a Facebook, RMWS at moradnet.ca too, to get a hold of you.
Yeah, and this year we're making a map of the Willmore right now.
What does that mean?
Well, you go to the government office. They used to have them on the counter.
Yeah.
You can go in and grab them. Not anymore. So we're going to make one.
This will be like the trails in the Willmore?
It's going to have all the trails that we cut on it.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a big index on it that's going to have everybody that sponsored our trails. Their logo and their company name or individual. Cool. And you'll be able to look at their name on the map and see what trail they sponsored.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, and it'll be ready this spring.
Wow. Cool.
And there's another guy that does cartography.
Yeah.
I don't know who he is, but I'm going to try and get a hold of him. He was looking for somebody that knew the Willmore.
Yeah.
And if I can convince him to give us some of his information, I'll give him a lot of mine.
Yeah.
And maybe we could get that map on our Facebook page.
Cool. Oh, that'd be awesome.
Because that would really, and the hikers out there have exploded.
Yeah.
Since we started cutting trails.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. So, like, I mean, you've been in the Willmore for 50 years. How have you seen it change? Like, does it seem like it's busier nowadays, or? There
was a period there, but when we first started, if you seen somebody, he was on a mission.
Yeah.
Because there were just hardly anybody out there, and then word got out, and you're starting to run into more and more people.
Yeah.
And now, like last year, we saw 23 hikers and 7 horse groups.
Yeah.
And that was unheard of before the trails were opened.
Yeah. Well, it's known kind of as the last wild frontier in Canada. We've got people coming from France and Germany and other places that want that quintessential Canadian rugged Rockies experience. They don't want souvenir shops and golf courses. They want the real deal, and the Willmore's the real deal.
Well, it is, and you can still see lots of wildlife out there if you're taking your time, and there's still wildlife there, and it's the trails are good. They're safe to travel, and that was our goal, make it so that people could safely get through them.
Yeah, and
that's why you see a lot of hikers out there now.
Yeah. Speaking of wildlife, we can't close this podcast until we talk grizzlies. We always have to talk grizzlies. So you've seen lots of grizzlies your whole life. You got some bear stories for us?
Well, I've never been worried about a grizzly. I don't know, I may be stupid or something, but one time I had a hunter from Washington. This was in BC, right at the end of October, and the creeks were icing up, so you couldn't use horses. Because once they start icing up, they back up, but you could always get across them on foot. You'd find a little flat spots where the ice was heavy enough you could cross it. So this guy, he was a plumber from Seattle, about 6'5" and number 13 foot on him or something. We walked, I'd say probably 5 miles, and we camped. I knew there were some rams there, so we walked down there and took our bedrolls and never took a tent. I just took a big tarp so that we could, and an axe so we could get under a tree and get a shelter over us and get a fire going and keep warm and a little bit of food. And we walked over there, and it was getting dark at 4 o'clock them days, at the end of October. And we got there just before dark, and I come up this creek, and there was a burn there. There's 4 rams, and there was a couple of good ones in that group. And they were probably 600 yards from us. And that guy said, "You mean I have to climb up there?" I said, "Well, yeah, they're not going to come down here." He said, "Well, I don't want one then."
Wow.
I said, "Oh, we just walked over here for nothing." So I said, "Well, let's go back and we'll get a place where we can nestle in for the night over here and have something to eat." And I lit a fire. We walked down the trail quite a ways so we didn't spook them sheep. And the next morning we get up and had something to eat again. I said, "Let's go see if them sheep come down that hill." We got over there, and them sheep were 50 yards from where they were the night before. They were 50 yards closer.
Yeah.
He said, "No, I'm still not going up there."
Man.
And it was right through a burn. You know, he could have walked up there anytime.
Yeah.
But no, he says, "I'm not interested." So we headed back, and it was cold. It was really cold that morning. And I figured I was packing about 65 pounds. And there was a big mineral lick before we got to camp. And I told him, I said, if there's anything on that lick, I'll come back and meet you. So I snuck up to that lick, and there was a couple of ravens flying around. That's all I saw. And I looked back, and I could see for probably 500 yards, and I couldn't see him. But I just left him down the creek a little ways, and he didn't have to cross the water or anything. But he was walked pretty slow. And I wanted to get ahead and get the fire going in the cook tent we were staying in. So I stood there for a while looking for him and didn't see him. I thought, well, I better go get that fire going. So I walked out in this lick, and there was a big spruce tree. And it wasn't that far to this tree. And I thought I saw something. I looked. There's a grizzly bear standing there. And he got up on his hind legs. And I'm standing there with this back on, and this bear, he's trying to smell me. He's kept flicking his nose in here trying to smell me. And he was a big bear. And I turned around, and I could still see down the creek for a long ways, and I couldn't see him. So I thought, well, I'm going to back up and get that tree between us.
Mm-hmm.
So I slowly backed up, and he dropped down. He's standing on all 4 watching me. And he never moved. And I got out of sight. And then I turned around and hot-footed her down to this guy. And he didn't even speed up his pace. I told him there was a big grizzly bear up there, but he still kept the same pace. And we get up there, and the bear, I went over to the tree, and the bear ran as soon as I got out of sight.
Yeah.
So we got up to camp, and the next day we go back down there, and we just got to that lick, and there was a big spruce tree on the other side where that bear was, or across from it. So we were standing behind this tree, and lots of ravens flying around. This big bull moose comes out of the timber, and he comes down there, and he's going to the lick, and he shot that moose 8 times to knock him down, about maybe 70 yards.
8 times. Wow.
And that moose he gets like a camel. He got peaked her and more in the back. Finally, he just tipped over.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm glad that wasn't that grizzly bear.
No kidding.
He'd have got us both.
Yeah.
But we did butcher that moose up, and it was a good moose, so he was happy with that.
Yeah.
And then we checked that carcass a couple times, but I was hoping that bear wouldn't find it because I didn't want
No
him
kidding.
shooting at it.
Yeah. Now you said working with horses, grizzlies, and moose, that the horses are more spooked with the big moose than they are with the bears.
They are, yeah. You know, a bear will. I rode into bears with horses, and you could chase a bear with a horse. Lots of them,
Huh.
and they'll chase them. But
Even grizz. Yeah.
yeah, they'll run from you. You make enough noise, they'll run. But a moose, they're scared to death of a moose. You know, and we've been at campgrounds where there's huge meadows there, and we'd have 30 head of horses out there, and maybe 15 bells on them.
Yeah.
And 2 o'clock in the morning, she's a stampede, and you know a moose come out in the meadow,
Huh.
and they take off. They're really scared of a moose.
That's interesting.
Yeah. You got a favorite spot in the Willmore you go to?
Oh, someplace where the trail's already cut.
Yeah.
There are some really nice spots over there. You know, we went to we're camped at Big Graves,
Yeah.
and there's if you go upstream on the sulphur a little ways from camp, and hit Whistler Creek, and you go over to Whistler Lake, that's pretty spot in there, and everything's above tree line.
Yeah.
And there's a basin there's probably 3 kilometers long, and there's a lake with a waterfall coming into it.
Mm-hmm.
Good sized lake. I bet you it's really deep. It looks deep anyway.
Yeah.
I've never walked right up to it.
Yeah. You don't want to go for a swim.
Yeah. No, I can't swim. But that is one of the nicest places that I can recall out there. There are lots of nice places.
Yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful
But-
place.
I remember years ago going into Blue Grouse off the end of the Rock Creek Valley, and you get going on the Moose Pasture Trail, and there was it'd be a west facing slope, and the trees were pretty small, and there was a side hill there, probably 4 acres, maybe more. It was straight lupins. You know, the girls just went crazy when you rode through there. Like these lupins, 4 feet high.
Yeah.
And today you go through there, the trees are so thick you can't even see a flower.
Interesting. Yeah.
But they really grew up.
Yeah. My goodness, Ken, you got to write a book. You got so many stories.
Oh,
It's I feel like we could go here all night, man, but
Any advice for the younger people getting into like horseback riding, pack riding? Like,
Well, you know, I've always told people, especially people with little kids, especially with girls,
yeah,
I said, buy them a horse.
yeah,
Because they'll fall in love with that horse,
yeah.
and they won't be chasing boys. And they're better off with a horse. But, you know, there's lots of country out there, and just respect the other people that are using it,
Yeah,
you know, because nobody owns it.
yeah,
And there are people that go out there think they own the country, but
mm-hmm.
and you hear about it quite often. But
Yeah.
you know, anybody with a horse or 2 feet can go anywhere they want out there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Does it seem like it's still being taken care of pretty well? Like the people that are going out there are respecting it?
Yeah, pretty good. Like when we first started doing them trails, God, we hauled a lot of garbage out.
Yeah,
A lot of tin cans, and you know, people go in there and they take pots for cooking and then frying pans. Then they leave them there. Well, why would you leave them?
mm-hmm.
The guy coming behind him taking his own.
Yeah,
So, you know, we used to take our tools in the wintertime with skidoos and put them in 45-gallon drums. And we'd have 2 of them barrels at camps where we were going to work out of. But we'd pack our tools out with the horses after the trail was cut. And we'd take all the garbage in them campgrounds and put them in them 45-gallon drums and then pick them up with skidoos in the winter.
oh yeah.
It's amazing how much garbage people will leave behind. I don't know what they think, that there's some magic forest elves that are going to clean it up for them. It's
You know that cabin at Snow Creek?
mm-hmm.
we went in there in the wintertime. We took our tools in and hid them in the bush there. And we packed out 53 of those little propane bottles.
Wow.
And 2 bags of garbage.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Pack it in, pack it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I put lots of signs at the campgrounds. If you can pack it in, you can damn well pack it out.
Yeah, for sure.
And they should.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, I'm excited to see. So where can people get the map of the Willmore when it's coming out? Like, it's going to be in town here somewhere?
Well, we'll probably just we'll look after that end of it. The society will. We'll put them at the trailheads, and we'll leave a phone number there where you can get a hold of somebody if you want one.
Cool.
But we'll have pretty well everything that you need to know on that map.
Yeah. Man, I like the idea that Rocky Mountain Wilderness Society, you can find them on Facebook. Anything else you wanted to add to this, Scott, before we...
No, it's just a real great honor to have you here, Ken.
Well,
I enjoyed this a lot. I've been looking forward to chatting with you, so this is great.
That's
Thanks
good.
so much for coming out.
I told my dad Ken was coming on. I said, Kenny's coming on.
Yeah, Dad's stoked.
He's excited for that.
Yeah.
And you're still shoeing horses for him, so he's happy about that too.
You know, you can't stop. We got our own horses too, so you know, as long as I'm able to shoe them, I'll shoe horses. But you do slow down for sure.
Yeah. If you want to see, if you're in the Hinton area, or even if you're not, come out to Brule, because Ken, you're doing a historic talk, April 26th at the community hall in Brule. What's the talk going to be about?
It's going to be the history of the Upper Athabasca Valley from 1790s to modern time.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
And modern time is what to me was when pavement hit Jasper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember when?
I don't.
1961.
No, that was before my time.
Yeah. But there's a lot of things happened up there.
Did your family have just like amazing records of their lineage or something? Like,
no, I've got I don't read nothing unless it's a history book.
okay.
I talked to a fella in the Northwest Territories from Europe. He was out there building cabins for an outfitter, and he spent 6 months by himself building cabins. And he didn't have a dog or nothing. He didn't even have a gun. I said, "How do you stay sane?"
Yeah.
He said, "Keep your hands busy."
Yeah.
And he said, and it's daylight 24 hours a day up there in the summer. And he said, if you're tired, try and sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But he says, because you can work anytime. And he said, if you can't sleep, read a book. But he said, don't ever read a fiction book. He said, fiction plays with your mind, and he said, it really screws you up.
Yeah.
And I believe him.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was 23 years old, and he was the epitome of health. You know, you look at him, you think, that's the healthiest looking guy I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And he was fit. Like, he was a ball of muscle. Like, he built them cabins by hand himself.
Yeah.
He was 23?
23 years old. He had cupboards on the wall that he made the boards himself. He made his own paint. He painted flowers on the doors.
Oh, wow.
And put in Pig Latin over top what it was and English underneath. He was a...
I wonder where he is today.
I've been reading too much fiction, I think.
But he said never read fiction because he said it starts playing with your mind.
Really? Well, I've never heard that before. Wow.
So I always read history books, and I got lots of them.
Man, I think we're gonna be around that weekend too. I'm coming out. History Talk in Brule, April 26th at the community hall at 1?
Or 1:30 it starts. So
Okay.
It's going to be packed, folks.
Yeah. I'm excited for that. Ken, yeah, this is great. Thanks so much for coming on.
well, thanks for having me.
Love hearing these stories.
I don't mind. I talk too much, I guess.
Fantastic. No,
Oh, that's
all
perfect.
good, man.
Scott, we've got we got our website. Your book's available on the website. Actually, someone just sent a message in too about your book. I was gonna read on here. This one was from Aaron. He said, read the book. Haven't read a book in a while, and it's a binge book for me. Now I'm on to your podcast. Great work.
That's great.
Yeah, he's got a store, a small coffee shop in Vermilion. He recommended us to come down there and do a podcast.
Podcast from Vermilion. Yeah, I know. I appreciate that. Yeah, the book Radically Wild. I've been working on the audiobook, and I'm only have 3 more chapters to do.
Oh wow, you're
44
flying through
chapters.
it.
Yeah.
Well, you did a super job in that book. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, well, thanks, Ken. That means a lot.
There's no
to
fiction
me.
in that book, right?
There's no fiction there. You heard from Ken. Ken says, buy the book. It's not fiction. It's the real deal.
No, it's well done.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So a lot of folks don't read anymore. So I had so many people say, you need to put it in audiobook and I'll listen to it in the truck. So
yeah,
I've listened to the folks, and I've got the thing nearly fully recorded, and hopefully we'll get it out this summer on audiobook. So
sweet.
But 10 times harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I thought, I can read. That's got to be easy, but it's a little more than that.
Oh, yeah, you're telling me, like, the heater kicks in or whatever.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like,
the kid flushes a toilet in the house, and you're like, I got to start over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, when you're reading, you got to read every word. And if you're reading a book just yourself, you see the word and you can go quickly through it. Because you know what? You got the story.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, it takes much longer to sit there and read everything word for word perfect and have the right pronunciation. But so be gentle with me, folks, if you're listening to it. I did the best I could.
Well, that's a pretty good read.
Yeah. Yeah, 44 chapters, my goodness.
Yeah. You can find that too, Radically Wild, on our website, wildernesswavelink.ca, or we have links to it there as well. And you can leave us a voicemail too. We're going to do a episode coming up where we're going to answer questions, so leave your voicemails, write in your questions. We're going to do that shortly. A buddy of mine on the hockey team just gave us a new bottle of scotch to celebrate episode 100 too, so we'll break that into... Bless
you, my friend.
Yeah. That's
I don't know
Ryan,
who you are.
So thanks for that, Ryan.
Yeah, that's great, Ryan.
Yeah, Ken, great having you on. We'll link up the Rocky Mountain Wilderness Society, and we'll be following along. And the pictures that you guys post are amazing.
Yep. Well, the more the merrier.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, until next week, stay wild.
Wilderness Wavelength.